thanks everyone for being here and furthering your education and knowledge, and hopefully bringing some of this to your students. My name is Dan Hegglin. I'm a security officer inside Cisco Systems. It's my personal email. Just to give credit where credit is due, most of these slides actually come off, I plagiarized straight off the internet. I was going to do it myself. I was looking around for material. I found the exact material I was looking for. I was like, there's no way I'm going to reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to go with this. So, most of this stuff is not mine. But you guys will get it. It's very interesting stuff. The way Cisco is set up, basically you have different companies within Cisco. That's kind of how they operate. You have your own sales and marketing. It's basically like you have individual companies competing against each other inside. I'm a security officer for one of those, which means I make sure that what we ship is secure, not really hackable. A lot of really technical details, making sure that nobody steals our stuff, and that as it's deployed out in the environment, because Cisco provides the plumbing of the internet, that things don't get stolen. Actually, this morning I just saw something about Cisco. But it wasn't my device. I actually said it was poor credentials, so somebody just guessed someone's passwords. Anyway, so how did I get here? I'll just go over the agenda. How did I get here? Why people are easily tricked. So this presentation is going to be a little bit more about just me. It's also going to be somewhat educational. I want it to be very open. Anytime you got any questions, shout them out. I'll try to answer them right there. So characteristics of an email, a scam email. I'm sure you guys have had those from Nigeria or whatever. Can I open this attachment? Can I click on this link? Q&A, those types of things. So, and of course also, why is security so important? And how do people get it? What is it that people are after? Well, it's always knowledge. I might as well touch on that really quick. It's always knowledge. They want to know who you are so they can steal your identity. They want to install something on your computer so that it logs the keys as you type. So you go to the website, you put in your username and password. Well, if they have a key logger that just logs the buttons you press, all that information is theirs. So those are the type of scary things that they're going after. The other thing is too, a lot of corporations, DeVry I'm sure being one of them, they have a perimeter they have a perimeter around their internal network. That's almost, you can't really get in. But if you get somebody from the inside to click on a link, they create a tunnel to the outside. Now they can run into a tunnel. Right, that's kind of how it works. Anyway, so it's all about information gathering. They steal information. Typically the people stealing it don't use it. They resell it. There's a reseller market out there where you can buy identities, credit card numbers, anything. So, anyway, so maybe you'll be a little scared about the web after this. You should be. Okay, so how did I get here? Lakewood High School, down in LA. I was always focused on math. I enjoyed it. I went to 2 universities actually. Ended up at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in computer science. Very excellent school, so totally recommend it. One of the big things is whenever you're in higher education, make sure you get internships. Internships are a good introduction of what your life's going to be like every day. Also, it's a foot in the door to get a permanent position. So, then I went to IBM actually right after I graduated, and Cisco, Yahoo, Cabletron, a few more, back to Cisco. So a bunch of startups, a bunch of more well-known ones actually, probably from Boxborough, there's Cabletron. So, started out software engineering in network management, and then I jumped around a whole bunch to director of service and support, did some release management, and back to engineering now, so that's kind of where I'm at. So the big takeaway here is, math and science is the key to getting where I was. Lucky for me, because life is random, I like that stuff, and I ended up here. So, there's a lot of luck involved in life. I'm sure you guys know. So, Davis software security engineer. This is some of the questions. They said, hey, what do you do? What do you do on a daily basis? So a lot of it's coordination, especially in a bigger company. You have to coordinate with a lot of different entities, and also to basically teach others within the company about security. Right? If you're the only one, there's no way your product's going to be secure. But everybody that's part of that product, architecting and developing it, needs to understand security. So lots of coordination, lots of planning. What do you need to protect? How do you validate that what you're doing is actually protected? So you create threat models, those types of things for your device, and then you validate to make sure that, hey, it's vulnerable in one way, as in I can attack it one way, but you basically validate to make sure that that door that you closed off really you can't go in. Meetings, lots of meetings, too many meetings, especially as a manager now. Coding, I still enjoy coding, a lot of fun. And then metrics and presentations. Metrics are important whenever you do this job to show upper management how successful you are or how unsuccessful you are. So if you have something that you're protecting and then you test against it, you can say, yeah, I got in. So I guess I didn't do a very good job. So you got to have metrics. What did I do? How did I do it? Why did I do it? The exciting part about this field is it's always evolving. What you have today is not what you have tomorrow. There's a lot of things called 0 day. The reason they're called 0 days is because nobody knows about it. It's 0 day. Somebody comes in, gets in the back door, you don't even know that back door existed. So for security software engineers first step. Yeah, that's it. Questions so far?
The statement, security is continuously evolving field. Other than, I don't know how else to ask it, but how do you prepare for something that's changing from the moment I started this question to now? It's that quick.
It's continuous learning. It really is. You gotta, and to be really successful as a security engineer, you gotta pretty much think like a hacker. That's the only way. That's how I was taught. That's how I teach. So how can I get into this? I'll hack. I'll play around and hack stuff just for fun, just to see if I can, I can get in. So it's a mindset. Yeah. And as soon as you figure out one thing, the hackers are going to figure out another one. I'm actually my business is cable modem termination systems. So my device sits on the edge. If you have a cable modem at home, you're connecting up to my device. About 50,000 cable modems connect up to my device, which means there's a lot of people of that 50,000 that want to hack my device, bring it to its knees, steal service, do all these things. So I figure out how to lock it down so that people cannot steal my stuff. We're Cisco, so we provide the equipment. We don't actually run the service. We sell to Comcast, but Comcast runs the network. I help Comcast protect the network.
A follow-up. What you just said sounds, again, I'm going to use my words, overwhelming. So, I mean, it takes a special type of something, and in this case, I'm looking at you, so you must be really special. What made you so? And again, I'm asking as a teacher, so I can say to student X or student Y or student Z, I see some things in you that are really beneficial that you got to believe me when I say you've got to keep following through. Am I making sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And it comes down to passion. And I think that comes down to, it's no matter what it is that you do. If you have passion, money is important, don't get me wrong,
sure.
Money's good. But you got to really enjoy what you're doing. You're going to do it all your life. So, and this was just something that was of interest to me. I started out with math. I kind of got bored once it got into, imaginary numbers,
sure.
Fourth and fifth and sixth dimensions, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to use this. So that's useless. So I want something that I can touch. So anyway, that's yeah.
And ironically, I teach math, so you just answered something that I've always wondered myself.
Yeah.
I only got to hear it. So thank you very much.
Yeah, good. Other questions?
So do you Do you have people in your company whose jobs it is to just try to break stuff? And they're like, I'm thinking Q&A from when I used to work in electricity.
Yeah.
And their job is to break stuff. Do you get people who hire hackers? They hack something. You're like, hey, do you want a real job? Is that actually a thing, or is that just for like TV? You see it on TV all the time. I always wanted to ask the question.
Yes, it's yes and no. So, if you think about it, if you're running a business, what you care about is sales. And you just move the boxes as much as you can, as many as you can, because you really care about revenue. Security is very important, but it's not for your business unit. It's not that important. So it's a very difficult thing to make that sale. Why do we need to do it? Well, because that's a differentiator between us and our competitors, right? Because we're more secure and all that stuff. But it's not a revenue generating thing to do. Therefore, a lot of companies are not that interested in it. However, and this goes back to how Cisco is organized. You have these silos that have the products. And so you compete against each other, you compete against the outside, you compete against the inside, and you need to get that sale. You need to get that thing done. So if push comes to shove, security sometimes does take or has in the past, has taken a backseat. Now Cisco's kind of turned that around and said, okay, before you ship a product, you have to pass a product security baseline, the absolute minimum, for us to say that, okay, you can ship this product, because you've done your due diligence on some very basic things, make sure that it goes out there. In addition to that, yes, we do hire, and it's a small group, but we do have a small group that is there, and you can say, hey, here's my box, and so it is kind of fun. You gotta really have a mindset, you know. And for those guys, if there's no, I don't know, I mean, that's their job, but it's fun when you can break stuff and show it to people. At the same time, if you don't get any benefit out of it, I would have a hard time with that. So.
Yeah, I used to work in electricity, and you had, I was on the end of the customer service of the professional customers, and my friends were the Q&A people, and it was always a back and forth of how many complaints can we get away with the company, and we were always like, none?
Yeah.
But, you know,
yeah.
And there was always that back and forth, and Q&A would have a list of 2,000 problems, and be like, solve the biggest 50, we'd be
The
like,
biggest.
oh.
Yeah. That's exactly it. So a product security baseline exists within companies to make sure that all their products meet a certain minimum requirement. And that includes, you do an analysis of your product and say, okay, it's vulnerable here, here, and here. And I mean, I can go, it's probably a little too deep. But anyway, you gotta know where you're vulnerable, so that when you're putting it out there in the field, you know how to protect against it.
So is there an industry standard for that? Or is that determined by each company?
It's determined by each company. Each company makes their own decisions. If you're at a startup, security is going to be less of a concern than sales, because if you don't make sales, you're out of business. Same goes for big companies, right? You got to make sales. If you don't make sales, you don't have a product. If you don't have a product, you don't have people, your existence there for that product is useless. So there's a balance between revenue and making sure it's protected. So again, if you can market it correctly and say, hey, our product is more secure, that's why you need to buy our product. That's a big thing.
But what company isn't going to say that their product's secure?
Very.
Do you think there should be an industry standard?
So okay, so at a very basic level, there is an industry standard being developed now. I think there's an ISO standard, and there's also I forget the other term, but there are some very basic standards. Adhering to those standards, you can basically say, like, I'm ISO 9001 compliant, something like that, right? This is ISO 17,000, whatever it is. But that doesn't necessarily say that you have a secure product. It means that you're following specific practices, and that's all there is to it. So the reason a company wants to be secure is because if you get a black eye, it can really affect your sales.
Target.
Three. Well, I mean, yeah, everywhere, right? There's a lot of it. So there are benefits to making sure your products are safe, protected. Okay. All right. So an example: you got two different web pages. One of them's hacked, the other one's not. When you look at it, unless you go to this website all the time, you don't really know which one's fake and which one's right. But I'll get into it a little bit later about, okay, how can you determine the difference? So then you have emails. Okay, it says log into my account with the link on there. So you never know where that link goes. It could go to a website that's been compromised. You download something on your computer, it logs your keys, it creates a tunnel, it does all kinds of bad things. So it's called spearfishing, especially when it's from a friend of yours. That you're like, oh yeah, I know this friend just sent me something. Oh, cool, look at this attachment, something like that. So how do you really determine if it's fake or not? Well, if you look at it, you got a .nl up there. That's Netherlands, right? Even though it says signed into K-State, well, Kansas State University is not in the Netherlands. So that should be a red flag right there. So you can always look at the URL basically up there. Okay, so that's HTTP, that's typical web stuff. I'll get into secure web and everything like that. So again, another example, you can't really tell the difference. These guys, it's pretty simple to just duplicate a web. There's actually tools out there where you can say, okay, here's a website, duplicate it, and you can go throw it up somewhere else. Okay, so here's a good one. So you can see that this is the .nl one, and you have HTTP on there. You're looking at HTTP versus HTTPS. HTTPS is secure. That means that this URL has been validated up the chain to make sure that it's right. These guys can never have something. They can't have an HTTPS and then have the same URL name over there. It's not possible. HTTPS is a secure version of HTTP. Whenever you go to Wells Fargo, P of A, it's HTTPS. Again, look at the URL. Sometimes they have these EIDs. They allow you to pick your own, right? You can say, okay, whenever I go to this page, I want to see this thing, which makes it unique, which means every time you go there, you'll see your little symbol that you picked out of the 50 that they have. So that kind of cuts down on you being faked also, because they don't know what you picked. Secure site. Most effective spearfishing, yes. So again, spearfishing is when somebody is emailing you, trying to get you specifically to give information to them, or for you to click on a link that ends up creating a tunnel between you and the outside, or ends up installing a keylogger. A lot of these things, you won't even know it's happening. The only reason that Microsoft is attacked more is because it's a more common operating system. Otherwise, Apple's right there. And a lot of things are happening with Apple as well. When hackers look at, okay, how much damage can they do, they always look at bang for the buck. So if there's 85, 90% penetration of Windows, they go for Windows. That's it. They've been trying to hack Cisco. Cisco's got a history of, well, and it's mostly because of history, that their operating system that runs on those networking devices is a little bit strange. And so people have a tough time hacking, but they still can. But it's almost impossible because of all the stuff that we put into it.
So this right here is also part of the scam, right?
Yeah, exactly. It says, hey, tell me your EID and your password. I have an alternate email. I don't care about that. But I do care about your password and how to get into Kansas State. Now, Kansas State, maybe people don't care too much, but you know, what if this was B of A or Wells Fargo or something like that, where they want to get your stuff? So, yeah, and they say here, it says, we noticed that webmail account has been compromised by spammers. Well, you know, they make you be scared, so I better respond right away. So, be careful with those types of things. What's that?
It's misspelled administrator.
Yes, exactly. Those are all kinds of things. I'll go over there, okay. So I'll just go, how do you identify? Well, IT support will never ask you for a password in an email. They'll rarely ever ask you for a password no matter what. The reason is all secure systems, the IT administrators cannot even guess your password. It's impossible. That's the way the system is designed. It's a one-way hash of your password. So even if they have the hash, they cannot get your password. So that's yeah, never hand out your password no matter what. They can reset it, but they will never ask you for your password. They can't. Use common sense. It's too good to be true. It probably is. Your cousin 5 times removed from Nigeria is calling you. They need, you got 30 million, but you need your help to transfer it to your account. Yeah, you're gonna get 30 million. Think before you click. Be paranoid. And always, if you have questions, it's better to ask IT support or IT help desk. In some cases, once the system's infected, it's almost impossible to get rid of it, the way they install themselves. So, how to identify a scam? Poor grammar, spelling. The reply to and from is unfamiliar or is different, right? KSU.edu is the real URL. K-state.edu is not. So if you know where it's coming from, Cisco.com, misspelled, right? That kind of stuff. I actually got a phone call not too long ago where they called me up and said, "Oh, this is your Windows. This is someone from Microsoft. Your Windows has been compromised." And I'm sitting there on my Mac, and I'm like, "Oh, this will be fun." So I kept them on for about a half hour walking through it, but just to kind of see where they were going with this whole thing, right? And they basically wanted me to go to a URL that was misspelled, and they hoped that I'd, not recognize the misspelling, get on there, click install this for me, all those types of things, right? Again, scare tactics. So, I had fun with them. And then I had to convince them that I didn't have a Windows machine. I told them I'm on to you. It still took them a couple minutes to get it. But it was fun for me at that time anyway. So, unfamiliar or inappropriate terms, it always goes down to spelling. Use common sense. Again, passwords, account numbers are big no-nos. They never ask those. Recently, there was one on that one. They called a friend of mine, claiming they were the IRS. They owed, $3,500. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
Yeah.
But that was pretty recent. It was about maybe like 5 months ago, something like that. So again, I was like, oh, they left a message. So I'm like, oh, let me get that number because I want to call back and have fun with it. And they really sounded authoritative, like they were in control. You better be scared. This is not a joke. Those kinds of things. And I also got the back on me. So you gotta know. You gotta use common sense. And if you're ever in doubt, whoever's calling you, for one, if they're calling you, don't trust them. If you call them, they say call back this number. Google that number. It'll come up. It'll say, okay, this is a scam or whatever else. So, interesting stuff. If it's unexpected, maybe check with Joe. Joe's in Holland. Somebody stole his wallet. Needs $3,000. It has to be Western Union. It's not Joe. Or it does not provide explicit contact information. So, Hurricane Katrina brought out a lot of scammers, seasonal scams for Christmas, health scares, all kinds of things. A lot of them will, they'll pose as legitimate entities like PayPal, banks. Again, look at the URL, it's got to be HTTPS, those types of things. They're good at imitating legitimate emails because these emails, companies send out emails, they blast emails all the time. So it's not difficult for a hacker to get a hold of one of those, replicate that exact email, change their URL, and all they have to do is get one letter different, right, in the URL. And if you don't catch that, you're off onto someone else's website. So, yeah, many makes it say sensational claims, 30 million bucks out of Nigeria, those types of things. So you can always Google search. So this is more useful information. Government has a couple of things. Snoops is always good. That one's kind of fun to watch. You can see all kinds of things on there. Sonic wall fishing. Go do that quiz. It's pretty cool. And then you have K-State-EDU. Yeah. So anyway, lots of good information there. Evaluating attachments. Don't open email attachments you were not expecting. PDFs are a frequent target because PDFs, they can execute things in the background you don't know about it. So that doesn't matter if you know that person, if you don't know that person. They usually have you like, oh, you got to check this out, those types of emails. Yeah, just don't open it. So the way security guys open these types of attachments is we run virtual machines. And then we'll go into the virtual machine, we'll open up in a virtual machine and we'll see how that thing behaves. And that's how we determine what it does. Because in a virtual machine, well, it's contained, it can't really crawl outside of that thing. And if you need to restore it to the, if it totally destroys your virtual machine, you don't care, just restore it. Versus if you do it on your laptop, if your laptop goes down, you're going to be very angry. So we isolate the environment that we use to evaluate. Do I still, how much time do I have?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So it's not to open an email attachment, but opening the email itself, the message, is that usually okay?
It depends. There can be attachments there as well. So, but you got to use common sense. So, but yeah, everything is kind of dangerous, including just looking at the email. If you see it in your inbox and you don't expect it, just hitting, selecting it and hitting delete might be the best. Yeah.
Is there some organization or company that geared towards getting these bad guys? Because it seems like they are just everywhere, but they do expect you to send something to somewhere, so is that traceable? Or?
The only people that care about these types of things are if they get financial benefit out of it. PayPal will, not PayPal, eBay will respond to it. So companies who have a financial stake in it, they will respond to it. But I mean, there's so many scams out there. It's crazy. I know law enforcement, they don't really go after it too much. Unless you're a big fish, they don't care. So, because financially for them, it's a non-starter. So, yeah, you can buy credit cards, on the street corner for $100 and then just rack them up. I've had my card stolen. And especially with the new RFIDs and on the credit cards, they don't even have to be in physical possession of the card. They walk around with a card scanner. You can buy those for $50 online. Just walk through the room, right? And you can just pick up numbers. So you can steal people's identities and cards pretty quick. Yeah, not good. Over Christmas, a couple of years ago, I had all my cards stolen. And it was just all bang, all at once, right?
And you would think, though, that a company that's creating these credit cards would have figured that one out before they came up with that brainchild.
No, I talked to them. It was a Visa, and they said, yeah, they got all stolen in the August time frame, or at least mine got stolen in the August time frame. And then they made a card out of it with names on it and everything like that, with the real reader on the back, and sold them around Christmas. And so the person that actually used the cards went to a Walmart in Florida and started swiping. So credit card companies are pretty good about seeing anomalies and contacting people now.
Yeah.
But it's really quick now how they can get your information. Ultimately, certainly, I don't think the credit card companies, they might take a hit. Walmart definitely takes a hit if they allow it. So,
So there should be a good market in for those protective wallets, or at least envelopes that your cards can go in, that protects it from those scanners, right?
yeah.
Is it foil, or?
I don't know exactly how they work. Maybe some lead or something like that, but I don't know. It's probably not lead actually. To wipe out your card. Not a magnet. So I don't know exactly how they work.
That's Mylar.
Yeah.
Mylar blocks fast track.
Yeah.
Wonder-
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I'll make
Protective.
Duct
Yeah.
tape and Mylar wallet, maybe there's an entrepreneur.
There you go. The thing is, individuals like us, we don't even, honestly, we don't care. The reason we don't care is we don't pay for it. The credit card, it warranties it, right? All those things. So there's no incentive for us to be all that secure as far as
Yeah, but if
these
you
type
could
of
get
purchases.
people to buy a Mylar wallet, then you have side business.
There you go. Absolutely. Yeah. More power to you.
I know what I'm doing this weekend.
There you go. There you
Here
go.
in Mylar bags.
Let's make it there.
But you can see why Visa charges, 10, 12, 15, 20%, because they do lose. Okay. Evaluating attachments, ignore, delete it. Beware of executable files and zip attachments. A lot of times zips actually won't even come through. They'll just be filtered automatically. Yeah, just use common sense. Remember, nobody will ask for your private information, for your password, anything like that. Think before you click and be paranoid. Web browsing, I don't know how much time I've got, so
About 5-7 minutes.
okay. Malicious link sites, again, look at the URLs, especially when they're cloaked in just a name, and it actually brings you somewhere else. You can say, hey, Wells Fargo, but then it doesn't go to Wells Fargo, it goes somewhere else. Malicious advertisement, drive-by downloads. Don't have to click anything. You can just go to a website. Search engines strictly present malicious or bogus results near the top. So you can do all that. For search engine optimization, you can do that to make your results pop to the top, and someone just search on Cisco, you can make it pop to the top, and then it could be a malicious website. Look for the display URL when there's numbers like this. This translates